What's up, y'all? It's Candy Girl here, and I am coming to you with a requested video, actually from another YouTube friend of mine. Her YouTube channel name is Hermit TV Junkie. She does TV reviews most often, and I love her channel because she keeps it short, sweet, and to the point. She can take an hour-long episode and do a review with her commentary, which is quite witty commentary at that. She can do that within 5 to 7 minutes. Her clips or her videos are very, very short, but she can give a whole synopsis on the whole entire episode within 10 minutes, and usually it's like 5 to 7 minutes, if that. And so I'm just really impressed by how she's able to keep it to the point, because I'm not good at that, as you will be able to tell from my channel. But anyway, so she had the idea that we should come together and give some really short advice on resources that are out there for people who are in need. Whatever it is that your area of expertise is, go ahead and leave a video on some places that they can go to get more resources for people who are in need in that particular area that is your expertise. So my level of expertise, so to speak, although I will never say that I'm an expert in anything, but today my area of expertise is employment law. So I'm going to give you some short and dirty resources on where you could go for some major issues that people see a lot in their employment. So I just want to put it out there, first of all, before I get into it, that I'm not going to disclose who my employer is, but I will say that none of my opinions or resources or statements that I make in this video represent my employer, should you be able to figure that out. And it does not represent the views of the U.S. government either. It's just my take on the resources that are available to you, but it is up to you to go and seek those things out and make sure that it is truly applicable to your very unique situation. So let's go ahead and get started. The first resource that I would say is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, better known as the EEOC. The EEOC deals typically with employment discrimination issues. Actually, as a matter of fact, their only purview and jurisdiction is over employment discrimination. It can be any kind of discrimination based on your race, your sex, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, religion, national origin, disability, age, or retaliation for complaining about discrimination on any of those bases that I had just mentioned. And if you feel like you're being discriminated against because of that, then that could be a form of retaliation that is underneath the EEOC's jurisdiction. So if you feel like you're being treated differently than other people because of any one of those things, then you need to file a charge with the EEOC. Another thing that is really important to know about the EEOC is that they deal with harassment as well, but it's only certain types of harassment. So that will be like racial harassment, sexual harassment, Me Too movement kind of stuff. Also, religious discrimination, like around 9/11 time, people of the Muslim or Islamic faith being harassed because of their faith. Lack of accommodations for one's disability or religion, whether you're a Jehovah's Witness and you may need certain days off or to not work during certain hours because of your religious belief, things of that nature. So that's the EEOC. A lot of people get these things mixed up, so I want to give you a compare and contrast with other types of employment law agencies. For example, the Department of Labor, they deal with wages and hours. So for example, if you worked 40 hours but you only got paid for 30, you would go to the Department of Labor for that. And so if they didn't pay you your last paycheck after you quit or you were terminated, you would go to the Department of Labor. If you wanted to file for unemployment because you were fired, then you would go to your state agency's Department of Labor and Workforce Development to apply for unemployment. Also, the U.S. Department of Labor deals with breaks. So if you're not getting adequate breaks, you should be getting a break every 6 hours of work. So if you're not getting your breaks, you need to talk to the Department of Labor, not the EEOC, unless you feel like all the blacks are not getting their breaks but the white people are, something like that. With wages, if you're just straight up not getting paid for the hours that you work, you can go to the Department of Labor. But if men are getting paid more than women, or whites are getting paid more than blacks, that would be EEOC. So that's a very common misconception that a lot of people get mixed up on. Also, state government deals with workers' compensation, so you need to talk to your state level Department of Labor to talk about workers' compensation. If, let's say, for example, you have an on-the-job injury and then you feel retaliated against and that you were discharged, or you get a huge settlement check and then all of a sudden you're terminated, that would be the Department of Labor Workers' Compensation Unit, not the EEOC. Now, let's say, for example, you have an on-the-job injury and you have a permanent disability, like you're legally blind, or you had to get something amputated, or you have PTSD and you're not able to perform certain functions of your job, but you can still do the job overall, and you feel like now you're being demoted or retaliated against in some kind of way, or they're not accommodating your light duty request for a long-term disability, that would be EEOC. But if you're on workers' comp and you're on light duty and they're not honoring that for a short-term ailment, that would be the Department of Labor workers' compensation. Let's say you're going on FMLA to care for a loved one and they're not honoring that, or they're writing you up even though you're on FMLA, that will be the Department of Labor, not the EEOC. Unless you feel like, for example, you're a male caretaker and you're being treated worse than women caretakers, that would be discrimination, and that would be the EEOC. So if you're just saying that my FMLA is not being granted or honored, that is the Department of Labor. If you're saying that you're being treated differently than other people in a similar situation under FMLA, but those people are different than you, by your race, your sex, your national origin, your religion, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, things like that, that would be EEOC. Okay, now let's say, for example, you and a group of 20 people, and that group is black, white, male, female, over age 40, under age 40, disabled, not disabled, just a group of mixed people, mixed demographic people, come together and you say, we're going to protest because we don't like our work conditions, or our supervisor is mean and we're being treated poorly. That would not be an EEOC discrimination/harassment issue. That would be the National Labor Relations Board. So if you come together and you start protesting and picketing as a group of people who are mixed in demographics, you're not protesting discrimination but rather something else, and you feel retaliated against, that would be the National Labor Relations Board, and you need to talk to the NLRB. So that is a basic overview of all of the agencies that, or some of the agencies that deal with employment law. These are not people who are going to give you free legal representation. They are simply law enforcement agencies that deal with certain employment-related laws, and therefore, if you need an attorney to advocate for you and to represent you, you need to get an attorney, and then, in turn, file a complaint under one of those agencies that apply to your situation. Make sure that you are getting there in enough time, because there are timeliness limits that basically a statute of limitations. So you have to file a complaint within a certain time period, or else your complaint will be untimely, and therefore you will not be able to do anything about the issue but pray about it, if that's something that you do. So just make sure that you're getting there in enough time, that you document. Everything is going to be your word against theirs unless you have documented evidence, and that is what is utterly and unequivocally necessary necessary to prove a violation. Your word against theirs, and you expecting the agency to fingerprint and go and do this and that and the third, they ain't gonna do that unless you've got some kind of evidence indicating that further investigation is going to lead to a violation. So make sure that you're doing that. Woo! All right, I think that's all I needed to say. Y'all leave a comment down below, put a thumbs up on this video, and check out my girl Hermit TV Reviews. Until next time, you all, love and blessings.